Today we are looking at absolute value. Now, some of you might not know what absolute value is, and that's okay. We will define it and we will talk about it. How do I use absolute value is my essential question. I'm learning to solve absolute value problems. I'm learning to solve problems involving absolute values. So you've got 4 warm-up questions. The first 3 are about adding and subtracting numbers with different signs. Pause the video and see if you can do those 4 problems now. Well, I do hope you tried. If you're looking, they're opposite signs, so I'd subtract. 20 minus 12, I'm starting at 20, I'm going 12 down the number line. I end up with 8. Now I look again to see which number is bigger, my positive or my negative. My positive is bigger, so this is a positive 8. If I have 2 negative numbers and I'm adding them together, I know the number is starting at negative 32. It's going further down the number line, which means it is going to be a negative answer. I'm going to add it together. And I get negative 57. And we're done. Do we ever minus a negative? No. You plus that positive. So 44 plus 30 is 74. For the last one, we've got a mess, but this is our order of operations. Order of operations says I do what first? Well, it tells me parentheses. There's no parentheses. Then exponents. Do I have exponents? Yes. So the first thing I'm going to do is that exponent. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 minus 3 plus 8 divided by 2 minus 10 times 5. Order of operations says I do the division or multiplication next. Multiply or divide. Do it in the order you see it. So the first thing I will do is the 8 divided by 2, and then I'll do 10 times 5. The first part doesn't change. 16 minus 3 plus 8 divided by 2 is 4 minus 10 times 5 is 50. Now I do it in the order I see it. I subtract and then I add, then I subtract again. 16 minus 3 is 13. 13 plus 4 is 17. 17 minus 50. Okay, it's going to be negative because 50 is bigger. 50 minus 17 is 33. And because the 50 is going to be bigger, it's a negative 33. So hopefully you were able to do all 4 of those on your own without having any problems. So let's look now at what absolute value is. If you don't know what absolute value is, it's a distance. It's a distance. The number is from 0. Okay, now a distance can never ever be negative. So in essence, what we're doing is just pulling the symbol off that number, whether it's negative or positive, and we're just using that number alone. Now the symbol is 2 lines with the number in between. That tells me the absolute value. So let's see what the absolute value graph looks like. If I'm looking at this, how far is negative 5 from 0? Well, it's 5 units. How far is negative 3 from 0? 3 units. How far is negative 1 from 0? 1 unit. How far is 0 from 0? It's not anywhere. So that is 0. 1 is 1 unit from 0. 3 is 3 units from 0. And 5 is 5 units from 0. What does my graph look like? -5, +5. Here's -5. I'm going to go up to +5. -3 up to +3. -1 to 1, 0 to 0, 1 to 1, 3 to 3, and 5 to 5. What does that look like? As I connect the dots, what does it look like? What do you notice? You notice it is a V shape. And it does not extend below the x-axis. Now we'll find out how we can transform it and make it move below the x-axis, but this is our parent graph, and it's that V shape that comes down to 0 and then goes back up. So, do we really use this? Actually, we do. We use it when we're talking about distances. Submarine descends to 80 feet below sea level, then descends another 20 feet. What is the submarine's final elevation? Use a number line to find out. So if I'm looking at this, I am starting out at 0 because they're at the top of the ocean here. And it goes down the number line, 800 feet. Goes down another 200 feet. So 800, there would be my other 200 feet. And what is its final elevation? Well, it is now -1,000 feet below sea level. So we started out at 0, we went down 800, and then we went 200 more. We're finding the distance from 0 to where the submarine is, and it is at -1,000 feet. Or just simply 1,000 feet below sea level. Okay, how many of you know where Sioux City, Iowa is? Well, it's closer to the North Pole than we are, so it's going to be colder. The temperature in the morning in Sioux City, Iowa is shown. By afternoon, the temperature had risen 25 degrees. What was the temperature in the afternoon? Use the number line to start out. So if we're looking at, it starts out at -5. This is where it begins. And then it raises 25 degrees. So let's count as we highlight. Here's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. What did we find? It is at 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so if we're looking at it, we started out down here. It's negative, but we had to go 25 units. So this is your absolute value of 5 here. It's 5 units here. Absolute value of -5 is +5. So here's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So it is now at 25 degrees. On another day, the temperature was at 30 degrees Fahrenheit, but a severe ice storm caused the temperature to drop 35 degrees. What was the temperature after the ice storm hit? So where are we starting out at? We're starting out at 30. We want to go down 35 degrees. So here is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Where did I end up at? You ended up at -5 degrees. So you know when we get out in that -5 degree temperature, it's pretty cold. So when you're looking at this, the idea is you're moving that distance. Even though we started at 30, we had to move that 35 units, and that gave us a negative answer. So when we're adding or subtracting, all we're going to do is pull that symbol off. So as I'm looking at that first one, I'm going to pull the absolute value of -23. -23 is 23 units from 0. 23 plus 15. 23 plus 15 is 38. On the next one, I'm looking at the absolute value of a +55 plus the absolute value of -10 and what it's equal to. Once again, I just remove the symbols. 55 is 55 units from 0, plus -10 is 10 units from 0. 55 plus 10 is 65. Okay, so looking at this, is it starting to make sense, the fact we're looking at the distance? So we remove those signs before we do the adding or subtracting. Okay, let's pause the video. Can you complete this problem on your own? I do hope you tried. -66 is 66 units from 0, minus -11 is 11 units from 0. 66 minus 11 is 55. For the next one, once again, this has parentheses. It doesn't have the absolute value sign. -66 minus -11. Do we minus the negatives? No, we plus the positives. So we're starting at -66. We're going up the number line 11. Where do we end up at? Find their difference. 66 minus 11 is 55. Which one's bigger? The negative, so it's -55. So, what do you notice about the last two problems? One's negative, one's positive. So in both cases, we're still finding the difference. But in this case, because we'd use the absolute value, it's a positive answer. Over here, we did not use absolute value, and it is negative. So, how do you know you're successful? You know you're successful when you can solve absolute value problems. What's the important thing to remember? Absolute value is a distance. And a distance can never be negative. I hope you enjoyed this and you don't have it, you understand how the absolute value works.